BMX racing, man, the top of the mountain for a lot of younger, aspiring BMX racers is the Olympics. It is the top of the mountain. And in this video, I'm going to give you my 3 best kept secrets that will enable you to become a BMX Olympian and possibly the next BMX champion. Let's talk about it. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to another edition of BMX Coach Live. I'm your host, 3-time Olympic coach, Greg Romero. And man, I am so excited this week. This week we have the Olympic Games going on in Tokyo. And tomorrow we have moto qualifying. And then on Thursday, we're going to have the semis and of course the final. Man, I'm really excited. Man, I'm also excited to see a lot of people on this live show. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you like the video, and more importantly, you subscribe to the channel and you hit the bell notification. That way you guys get notified when I go live and also when I post. Again, we're live. We have a live audience, so I'll be interacting with them as we're going back and forth. And today we have JP saying, "Hey, Coach." Nathan Peterson says hello. Jason P says, "Hey, Coach." Michael Heck says, "I'm going to need a time machine, Coach." Then we have another guy, Force 1X says, "Hello, good evening. What's up?" From the Foothills BMX, he says. From TO Foothills BMX. That's cool, man. Hey, again, I'm coming from San Diego. It is warm outside. Awesome week for getting hyped up on the Olympics. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Olympics, but I've been watching the Olympics all week. This is the first time, I would say, probably obviously since 2008, that I've been actually home from the Olympics. I'm usually at the Olympic Games, but I've retired from that level of coaching. And if you guys want to know why, stick around. I'll let you know why I actually moved on from coaching at the highest level, which is the Olympic level. But I've been enjoying a lot of different sports. Here in America, we have NBC doing the coverage, and they like to cover lots of stories. It's all about storytelling when it comes to the Olympic Games and showing these different disciplines. But for me, some of my favorite sports in the Olympics, number one, gymnastics, especially women's gymnastics. And I also love swimming, because swimming is just kind of like BMX racing. It's very objective, right? There's a start and there's a finish, and whoever is objectively first to the finish line wins. And that's pretty much how BMX is. So I like that one. Gymnastics, it's a judging sport, but I really like how one still has control of their destiny in terms of the technical difficulty and also their execution, in which, in BMX, it's all about overcoming the technical difficulty by executing, right? So I kind of like gymnastics in a way, and I've also been watching other cycling events naturally. And I watched the cross-country mountain bike racing, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like, it has a little BMX into it, because there was actually a lot of jumping. It was technical. I don't know if anyone on live stream, any of you guys check out the cycling events in the Olympics. Anybody watching the Olympics, say yes if you guys are watching live. And so, again, in today's video, I really want to kind of move forward and talk about how to become an Olympian, because man, it gets so confusing, right? Sometimes it's like, well, I just want to sign up, and listen, it's not that easy. Sometimes, for those that are lucky, it can be easy. For the rest of us, my hands up raised with you, it is not easy. And in this video, I really want to give you guys some clarity, especially for younger aspiring riders that come into our sport, because at the end of the day, a lot of guys come in and they're like, they see the top of the mountain and it's the Olympics, and they're like, I want to become an Olympian. And listen, as a coach, especially an executive coach that helps people get what they want, I am not the person to tell you can't do it. I will never tell anyone they can't, because at the end of the day, the only person that can tell you can't do it is yourself. And that is true, man. Like, you guys got to write that down. I probably need to quote that and write that down and tweet it and put it on Instagram, but whatnot. But listen, at the end of the day, don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't do. I can't do that. Your parents can't do that. Your friends can't do that. No one can do that except for you, your own self-talk. So in this video, as you guys know on this channel, I like to empower you and give you the advice that gives you the epiphany and gives you the tools in an effort for you to make that decision. Because, as a coach, your parents, your team managers, your teammates, everyone can lead you to water, but no one can force you to drink it. Unless someone holds a gun to your head, but even then you still have a choice. You don't have to drink it. You can just take the bullet. But anyway, so, listen, how to become an Olympian. And there's so many different ways to do it, right? And shall we move forward? Let's make sure I have my graphics in order here. Okay. Here we go. I think this looks pretty good. Number one, understanding your path. When it comes to the Olympics, right? Listen, I have, being retired today, I get to enjoy coaching guys all over the world, right? Not only guys here in America, as I still coach, I also have guys in Great Britain. I have guys in Australia, down under, guys from New Zealand. I got people all over the world. Some of them are, I would say majority of them are probably under the age of 20. Yeah. Majority of them are under the age of 20, and I have several that are in England that are in that ripe age of just becoming juniors, right? And they have their eyes on the prize of becoming an Olympian. And here's the thing: there's so many different ways to understanding your path. Okay, because if you were to ask certain countries like the USA, Australia, Great Britain, right, and you want to understand athlete pathways. Shoot, I actually have a graphic here. I probably should have prepared this and bring it up, but let's see if I can get over here while I'm talking. There's so many different ways that you guys can view yourself creating this pathway. And honestly, it's not hard to figure out. And I think people really overcomplicate it, right? Like people will tend to look at national governing bodies like USA Cycling and Cycling Australia and British Cycling, and they want to take a look at their pathway. What does it take? And I think that's helpful, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to be compliant and be qualified. Here we go. I got a graphic, and let's see if I can bring it up. Be qualified in an effort to be selected to go to the games. Because at the end of the day, that's what it takes. It takes a selection to get to the games. And so, I think that's important, but I want to give you my pathway because I've helped out four or five athletes qualify on their own, creating their own pathway, carving their own path, doing it their way. And I really think at the end of the day, doing it your way, well, I think doing it your way is empowering. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you want. Because if you try to do it by an organization's way, you're kind of at the mercy of the organization and you end up becoming a robot, and it's really tough, right? It's really tough. Let's see if I can find this helpful graphic. And let's see, desktop, screenshot. Oh, here it is. Cool. I'm going to bring up this British cycling pathway. That way you guys get a visual of what I'm talking about when I mean pathway. I think it's very important for you guys to see this. Let's see here. Let's see if we can bring this up. So again, here's a pathway, right? And I don't know, you guys might have a hard time seeing this, but look over here to the very left. Let's see if I can bring it up and make it big for me. Over here to the very left, this is kind of like, your entryway. At the very bottom, they have these ages where it's like 5, and then, from 12 to 15, they have these diagonal lines, okay? Because to become an Olympian, I think you have to be 18, 19, somewhere around there. They change it. I think it's 18 now. And really, the pathway, ideally, right, the model is to go into the Olympics around, 18 to 22 years old, right? Like ideally, that's what you want, okay? Now, please forgive me. I do get guys, believe it or not, that are just as old as I am, right? Like I'm 47 years old. I'll get guys that are 45 years old who are novices, and they hit me up and they're like, Greg, Coach G, like you're an Olympic coach and I want to go to the Olympics. And I'm like, cool, right on. I told you before, I'm not the type of guy that's going to tell you you can't do that. However, I will put them in check and say, great. Do you know of any 45-year-olds who just started out racing BMX that went through the progressions of going from novice all the way to Olympian and found success? Because if you found that guy, awesome, we can model them. We can model and see what they did, and that way we could develop a pathway. Okay, in a moment I'm going to give you an idea, if you guys are taking notes, a way for you guys to develop your own pathway. But if you could see here on the screen here, British Cycling has their own pathway, and I really think this is like a generic, visual, right? And over here to the very right, they show an Olympic medal and a rainbow jersey and finding success at the top of the mountain. And I think a lot of this is very true. And these guys here, between the ages of 15 and 20, they call this podium potential. So they want you to start being, these guys as an organization, as a governing body, they're identifying, they're IDing guys that have podium potential at an international level. That's where their funds and their attention or resources are going to go to. And so, they're not going to waste time on a guy that's 45-year-old novice and dump money into this guy and develop him. Again, probably because it's just not resourceful for them to do so, and they don't have any. They have more people between the ages of 15 and 20 that they're investing in, that are finding success, that are bringing back medals. Listen, the Olympics it's a business, right? Like these governing bodies like USA Cycling and British Cycling, these guys, they got to pay bills, right? These guys have CEOs. They got these guys are trying to get paid. They're trying to keep their jobs. So what are they trying to do? They're identifying the best talent out there that can help them look good, straight up. So as an athlete, that's really tough because you're trying to develop yourself and you're trying to fuse your talent and your capabilities with someone else's resources and team up in an effort to be qualified and be identified to enter their program, be funded to go to their training facilities, either use their facilities or resources or psychological resources or physiological resources or their BMX track resources. When you go to the races, you're using the governing body's resources, because a lot of these Supercross races, these World Cup races, everything happens through the governing body. So you have to go through that for the most part. It's not like you could just sign up for the state championships and just enter, right? It's not like a local race where you could just enter. The Olympics, it's very, very convoluted in terms of the pathway to get there. And again, I want to make it clear for you guys that while it's totally possible, there are some rules and there are some regulations and there's some modeling to be done if you guys want to do this. So, these guys, they want to be able to identify people in a development pathway, moving from 12 to 15 and then from 15 to 20. Okay, that's when they start identifying people at, national level. And it's not like they have tryouts. Everything's based on results. So at the end of the day, listen, we'll talk about it in a moment, but you guys got to be able to create, number one, aims. Okay. Number two, you have to be able to create goals that's congruent with the national governing body's pathway. Okay. So again, it's all about understanding your path. I started out coaching when BMX was in the rookie inaugural inclusion year back in 2008, and basically it was really easy. They just took the best American BMX racers, which at the time I happened to be coaching some of the best BMX racers, so it made sense for me to just move along with them and enter the Olympics, helping these guys out. And so, that's the model, right? The model is being able to get the best of the pros kind of like USA basketball. They get the best top pros who are eligible, who want to participate. They identify those guys, a couple of years out, and then they plug it into their ear like, hey, these are our expectations if you guys want to go to the Olympics. Some people will do it, some people don't need to do it. When it comes to basketball, even like road cycling, Tour de France style, the Olympics is, I hate to say it, but it's not important to everybody like it is in BMX sometimes, right? Like in gymnastics, the Olympics is really huge. But in like other sports, like pro basketball, some people can do with it, some people can do without it. In BMX, it seems to be like, that's what everyone wants. We presuppose that, but that's not necessarily true. Not everyone wants that. But for those that are watching, who want it, I want to be able to help you identify, hey, listen, here's the parameters based on my experience as a coach helping athletes qualify for the games and winning medals. And this is what it's going to take. And it's up to you to decide, you know what, I think I can adhere within those parameters. I could do it. Or some of you be like, you know what, screw that. This is way too hard. That's up to you to decide. But understanding your path, number one, I think it comes down to you have to be able to establish an aim. What is it that you want in your BMX career? Is it going all the way to the Olympics and getting an Olympic medal? Are you only 10 years old and it's too early? I don't know. Connor Fields at the age of 11, he wanted to become a pro, and he saw that it was possible for him to be an Olympian. So he actually manifested that and wrote it on the garage wall. If you guys ever watch the story, I'm going to become a gold medal champion. Wrote it on the wall. For parents that are watching, man, you got to support that. You got to respect that. You got to show him, cool, you're capable of doing that, and support him as a superstar. Don't tell him that he can't do it. Don't tell him, hey, what do you think you're going to do? You got work together as a team and make it happen. Worst case scenario, you're helping him create a plan to get something that he wants that he could use later down the road in real life, right? That's what's really helpful. So it's all about treating your kids as superstars as if they're already Olympic champions. Hey, that's a secret tip right there. Understanding your path. Number one, we talked about getting an aim going. Okay, identify what you want. Hey, if going to the Olympics isn't your thing, what's the next best thing? Excuse me. Maybe that's winning a local race. You haven't done that yet. Maybe it's winning a regional. Maybe it's winning state championships. Maybe it's winning a national championship. Here in America, maybe it's accumulating enough points to get, I don't know, top 3 national age group or number 1 national age group number. All right. Becoming an Olympian will help you have success at these supposed lower levels, right? The local, the regional, the state, the national. So I think at the end of the day, having a lofty goal of becoming an Olympian or an Olympic champion, I think it's an admirable goal if it's done properly. Again, establish the aim, and then we need to go ahead and establish the path. What are the goals every season that are going to line up to ensure that you're on this spiraling up path to become an Olympian? Okay, because if we look at it linearly, is that even a word? Please forgive me. I don't think it is. But if you look at it in a linear fashion, right? Let's say you're 12 years old here, becoming an Olympian is somewhere up here. It's not necessarily a straight path, is it? We can identify it on paper. Hey, here's Olympic gold medal. I'm 12 years old. Okay, well at 13, maybe you need to, become an expert, win regionals, win nationals, right? And then you turn pro, become a top pro, win pro nationals, win World Cups, and then all of a sudden, you're at that Olympic level, international level, and it's just that easy. You become an Olympian, right? Really, like Connor Fields, that's pretty much kind of like how it happened. Like he struggled as an amateur, but, towards his later amateur years when he was fighting with Corbin Sherratt around, 15, 16, 17, it's like, boom, they just went from here to here. And then he wasn't that far away from fighting for podiums at the World Cup level against the likes of like Mike Day, Mare Stromberg, Sam Willoughby, Joris Daudet. Okay, so obviously that is a path right? That's easy for a lot of us to see objectively and model. You don't have to go with USA Cycling, British Cycling, Cycling Australia's path. The path is pretty much straight up. It's where are you at now? Where's the Olympic medal? Okay, who did what to get that Olympic medal? Okay, you could also use women as well. Maria Pahon, Anne Caroline Chasson, or anyone else that has success becoming an Olympian, becoming an Olympic medalist. You use Mike Day, you could use Sam Willoughby, you could use Mary Strombergs. What have they done in their career? Identify and dissect what they have done. They will show you what's possible. Okay, they will show you what's possible. So that's the key is creating that path, creating that visual, and then identify the goals of what it's going to take for you to these goals, which are also dominoes that you're going to knock down to ensure that you're spiraling up to get to that end goal. Now, when I say spiraling up, listen, it's not necessarily a linear path. Guys like Corbin Sherraw, Connor Fields, they've had injuries, they've had setbacks to where, this path, it goes down, it spikes up. It trends up when they're running hot and they're having success. And then, they might have an injury and they drop back down and they got to pick themselves back up. Listen, a flight from America to Australia is not a straight line, right? Or if you're flying to visit me here in San Diego, it's never a straight line, right? The flight, it will have to go around weather. It will have to undulate and follow certain airway pathways, whatever you want to call it, right? The airway corridors, and you get redirected, and so the path is never straight ahead. It's always undulating. It's always trying to knock you off the path, and you have to redirect and get back on the path. That's part of life. That's part of your season, right? It's rare where you just have a perfect season, you go undefeated, and you have an 82-0 season in basketball, win the championship, done, right? If you're not winning, then you're getting feedback, and when you're getting feedback, you're getting redirected and getting back on course to get what you want. Okay, so are we clear with that? Understanding your path. Is everyone in the chat room, are you guys clear with that? Okay, so number two is you got to take action, right? A lot of people will create these goals, they'll create these aims, set out what they're going to do, create this awesome plan, and then they start taking action. Some of them might not even take action. They just might take a lot of time just doing a lot of planning and let me figure out what coach do I need, and let's get on Google, what kind of BMX training do I need, and spend all this time figuring out what they got to do instead of just taking action. You got to take action, and here's a secret. You have to take consistent action. That means every season in, season out, you got to be working, okay? Day in, day out, you got to be working. Now, here's the problem. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. And I've seen it in run-ups to Olympic Games. Someone will create a goal. Hey, I want to become 2012 Olympic gold medalist. They'll even get the tattoo. They'll tell everyone and declare it. And then they'll take, 3 months of hard work, right? They put in all this work, overtrain themselves, get burnt out. And all of a sudden, you know what? They say, screw this. It's too hard. The problem is some people may take too much action. Okay, so we have two problems. Number one, people may not take action. They don't do it enough. Number two, they take too much action. And I think the key to a lot of people who have found success at the Olympic Games, they understand the power of taking consistent action, right? Not overdoing it, not underdoing it, just being consistent every day. I call it The Slight Edge. It's one of my favorite books, in fact. Check it out, Google it, called The Slight Edge. Everyone unbeknownst to them has followed the path of the slight edge. Okay, you guys want to know what it is? The slight edge goes like this: doing things that are easy to do, that's also easy not to do, so you might as well do it. And so the problem is with that is that it's so easy to do that they don't do it, right? It's so easy to just go ahead and pack up the car, put the bike in, go to the track and do the work. It's also easy not to do it. It's so easy to just grab your gym clothes, head into the gym and do the work. It's also easy not to do it. And if you have problems with that, if you guys have problems with that, then you're not 100% congruent with the goal or the aim that you want, right? because you don't have a purpose. Now, I don't want to get into that, but having a purpose is really key going after what you want. Because if you don't have a purpose, then that motivation is fleeting. You only have so much in a day, and by the end of the day, and you get home from school or work, and you need to do the work to go after your goal. If you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough motivation, then you'll just say, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never comes. It needs to happen now. So again, taking action, it's all about doing it in the now. Here's a secret. This is what I tell a lot of my athletes that I coach emotionally and mentally. I tell them the night before, write down what you're going to do and when you're going to do it and who you're going to do it with. Okay? And that way they program the unconscious mind of what it needs to do specifically. And that way, when they wake up the next morning, they get it done with no interruptions, with nothing that derails them off the path. Taking action, man, believe it or not, it's really hard to do for a lot of us. Okay. I find myself, my hands raised up with you. If I don't have a strong enough purpose, if I don't have the ambition to take the action to do what I need to do, I won't do it either. But if I have a goal and I have an understanding and I have a purpose and I have more than motivation, which is ambition, and I'm congruent with who I need to be to get that goal, then I'm going to do it. No problem. No questions asked. All right. Any questions in the chat? Soul Edix, he says, so much wisdom. Thank you very much. What else do we have? JP says, yes, I've been watching the Olympics a lot. Yeah, guys, please, let me know what your thoughts are. If any of this stuff is helping you, let me know. Got to take action. All right, shall we move forward? Okay, hopefully I don't have any volume on this. Okay, cool. So number 3, hit your key performance indicators. Again, we talked about having an aim, and then we talked about establishing these goals, right? These dominoes that we need to knock down to ensure that we're getting towards the aim, that we're spiraling up towards the aim. And so key performance indicators are pretty much your goals. Are you hitting your goals? And here's the cool thing. If you're hitting your goals, great. You're on track. You're getting that boost of confidence, that motivation, that extra energy, right? And you want to do more. A lot of us thrive off of that, right? However, more times than not, most of us actually do not even hit those goals. I don't want to use the word fail, but I'll use the word fail because I'm going to tell you in a minute that, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. But here's a reason why people stop doing the thing. They jump off the path, get derailed on their way to becoming an Olympic champion because they fail at one of these first key performance indicators or these first goals. They don't accomplish it, and then they give up. It's funny. I was watching the Olympics on NBC, and there was a commercial with women athletes, and they say there was some crazy statistic between the age of like 12 and 16, women athletes, they tend to quit right around that age, a big portion of them. And it's just because, and a lot of them were saying they didn't feel like they were getting enough support, either emotionally, mentally, either it was through a parent or a coach. And, it's a weird statistic. I'm going to look more into it because I found it was intriguing. But yes, athletes, they jump down the path, they don't hit a goal, or they supposedly fail, and then they don't reconfigure themselves. They don't gather themselves, reconfigure their goals. What happens is, they don't reach a goal, and then they look at it as failure, and then they overthink it. Man, I'm a failure. I don't have what it takes. They let all this self-doubt and uncertainty creep in and say, man, is it worth it? Is this too big for me? Am I not good enough? And here's the thing. If you guys just simply reframe that failure and call it feedback, okay, then you have a way to jump back on the path, recalibrate, start taking action, and go after a goal that makes more sense. Does that make sense? So in other words, if you guys don't accomplish the goal at the end of the year of, you know, becoming state champion or getting a top 5 nag or getting enough wins to turn expert or going from beginner to intermediate within 3 months or whatever your goal or time frame is. Listen, it's only feedback. If you're not winning, then it's feedback. And once you take on that resourceful state of mind or that mindset, then all of a sudden life actually it becomes easier, right? You're not so hard on yourself. You're not beating yourself up. We're the only ones that beat ourselves up. So in an effort to not beat yourself up, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. Okay, so if you take that feedback, hey, what could I have done differently? Okay, maybe I wasn't working consistently enough. Maybe I need to improve in this area. Maybe I'm not focused enough on the gate. Maybe I'm not executing. Maybe I need to work on my fitness. Hey, it's only feedback. Figure out what that is, recalibrate, jump back down the path, get on the bike, get to the next race, and make it happen. If you don't win, then get the feedback and keep going. That's how people do it, man. People don't quit. You know, there's this, I hate this. I was going to put this number 3 here. I was going to call it don't give up. Actually, I was going to have this bonus here. Where is it? Did I not? Is it this one here? Okay, well, I was going to put this bonus quote of like, don't give up. Okay, but that's kind of the unconscious mind doesn't really understand negatives, so it's going to focus on giving up. So you have to find ways to keep moving forward. Keep that momentum going. That's the thing in sport. It doesn't matter if you have goals of going from beginner to intermediate, or you're trying to improve your gait, trying to improve your first straight, trying to improve your manualing. You have to keep finding ways to keep moving forward. Get your brain trained to think moving forward. What can I do to keep moving forward? Instead of, you know, putting yourself in this box of failure, get that feedback and move forward. No one cares about your excuses. No one cares about your crying. Find ways to keep moving forward. And that is truly the key of becoming an Olympic champion. Right? All right, guys. I wonder if you guys have any questions regarding any strategies, any questions on accomplishing goals, whether it's at the Olympics. If you guys have any personal questions for me as a coach, helping athletes achieve their goals, becoming an Olympian or winning Olympic medals, I'm open to it. Let's talk about it for the next 20 minutes. I got 25 minutes, and then I'm going to go eat dinner. I'm going to watch some Olympics later on tonight. But think about what you guys want to ask me, and we'll get back to it right after the break. Hey guys, I have a question. What would it do for you if you could enhance your power out of the gate, enhance your sprint speed down the first straight, enhance your skills, enhance your mental performance mind state? What would that do for your racing or your kids' racing? If you're seeing the value of enhancing your BMX performance, consider joining the community of BMX Training Pro and get the same access my Olympic athletes have enjoyed, as well as thousands of BMXers all over the world. Some members use the access to improve their gate start techniques. Some also use the access to keep them motivated to train, and you'll find your reason when you gain access and join BMX Training Pro today.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now.
Nitro with the nice flow.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now. Let's go. Stay focused, here the heat come. Concentrate to the sound of the beat drum. Yeah. Start it up, take it back now. Check it out. This is how it's going down. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, I just want to tell you, man, it feels so good to be back on the live show. I took a couple weeks off. I had visitors in town, and also for a lot of you guys that have been following me on this channel, a lot of guys in the live feed here, which, by the way, thank you so much for showing up. Yeah, I just got a new house, and it's, it needs some work. And like right now, like after this, I got to go to Lowe's and figure out a pipe. There's a pipe underneath my shower that goes down, underneath the garage, and there's a leak, and I gotta fix that. And I just, just been staying busy, just doing, DIY stuff. But hey, just want to say, hey, Danny Booby says, he says, what's up? He has a question. Thunder Midget. Damon Hawking says, hey, G, Cruising Omar Fun Zone says, yep. Ryan says yes. Michael says, yo, from Fort Collins, Colorado. Michael Heck says, I'm going to need a time machine. Okay, we already saw that. JP says, great subject. We'll use your first point with my kids. Awesome, man. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be your guys' coach. Damon Hawking over here has a statement or a question. Let me see what it says. He says, talk about staying consistent. I'm okay at finding consistency, but please touch base on how you stayed consistent or your athletes stay consistent on training and racing. Yeah, it's tough. I think at the end of the day, we speak about being consistent is key, and it's so hard if you guys don't have an aim of where you're going, right? It's so hard, and people have a hard time just doing that, creating this aim of where they want to go and who they need to be, and establish, more importantly, who they need to become to achieve that goal. Really, at the end of the day, we tend to create these aims truly to identify who we're trying to become as human beings, right? Like, I have goals in all these different areas of my life, and I write down who I need to become in an effort to achieve that. Let's just say, like, my relationship with my significant other, right? Like, being committed, being trustworthy, being loving, being, operating out of my heart, not my ego. Like, these are just simple things that I need to be to have a successful relationship. You could do this in all areas of your life, money and finance, work and career, sport, fitness and nutrition, BMX racing, right? So it's all about creating that aim and then understanding and writing down all the bullet points of who you need to become to achieve that goal. An easy exercise that I do with a lot of not only athletes but executives that I coach who are successful and finding a lot of success in their careers is just simply identifying who they need to become, right? Where are you going, and who does that person need to be? But more importantly, what we do is, who has done what you want to do? Okay? Finding a person that you can model. Oh, what a concept. Finding someone that we can model. Not copy, but model, right? Who can we model in terms of success? When I was a BMX racer, I modeled the guy that was winning. I was just like, straight up, if I want to beat that guy, I got to model him. So that meant I got to model his work ethic, ask him about training, ask him about gearing, ask him about mindset. I just straight up asked him. I didn't even care. I was like, what's the worst thing he's going to say? No. But here's the thing. When I started, going from being motoed to making mains and fighting for wins and beating him, then he said, you know what? I'm not going to talk to you anymore. He was French, a guy named Christophe Levesque. True story. And that's when I realized I was successful, is when he stopped giving me advice. But that's the thing, right? Like, it was so easy to do, just model success, right? Again, we talked about in the beginning, trying to figure out your pathway. It's very easy to do. Identify your pathway and then try to find someone that has done it, right? Like, I got there's a guy on the feed right now, Danny Booby, Danny, may I? He's got a son who is a talented kid, and he's looking for success. And straight up, we found an athlete that he can totally model. And we mean model, I mean like model that person, like how he carries himself, how he talks, how would he approach his racing, how would he approach training, how would he approach getting over defeat, how would he approach getting over a crash, how would he approach COVID, right? How would he carry himself, right? It's like, hey, what would this guy do, right? A lot of guys, they look up to Connor Fields because he's straight up an Olympic champion. He's a badass. I look up to him. I think he's rad. I think he's going to win. And easy guy to model, right? The guy's very positive. He understands clearly what he wants, and he understands who he needs to be to get what he wants, straight up. That's the key, Damon. In terms of, being consistent, you want to identify what you want and then understand who you need to become to get that, right? Or model somebody, right? That's an easy way to do it. But you have to be able to find that congruency, right? And you could find that congruency when you find a purpose and identify the purpose of what you want. What are you doing it for? Right? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for yourself and others? There's another thing, like Simone Biles, who's the greatest of all time in gymnastics. Now, don't tell me any results. I haven't watched today's feed. But she's coming into this Olympics. She's already accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish times 3. And the reason why she's coming back is because it's not about her. It's about transcending herself and doing it for the sport of gymnastics and doing it for the younger generations. And that's what the Olympic Games is all about. That's what purpose is all about, is finding ways to make it more than yourself. Okay? There's a thing I do with a lot of executives, right? And it's very easy for like parents, because parents, they just don't question it. They get to work because they have a family to feed, they have a mortgage to take care of, and that's it. If they don't work, then their family's going to disown them, their family's going to starve, and and they're going to be looked at as a failure, right? And so they have more. They're not just doing it for themselves. They're doing it for others. And truly, at the end of the day, the trick is to try to trick our unconscious mind or our conscious mind into doing it more than ourselves. When we do it for ourselves, it's great for a moment once we have that success. But then it's like, cool, like, where are we going to get that motivation to keep moving forward, right? Okay. Do we have any questions as it pertains to the subject of becoming an Olympian or finding success in BMX or finding success in life? Oh, Danny Booby says, best tip I was ever told was to write your goals down, be it sport, work, or just life. Sounds simple, but it works. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I think writing goals down is great. That's a great place to start. And doing it consistently every day is even better, right? Reminding yourself. I've been studying a lot of great, successful people who's alive today, and also people before. I've read a lot of crazy books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read a lot of Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, the author of Performance Habits, and all kinds of greats, right? And a lot of these guys at the end of the day, they write their goals down. They work on their programming before they go to bed and when they wake up. I was even talking to another successful person the other day, and he says he starts his morning, doesn't jump on the cell phone. He takes care of himself, takes care of his goals, sets his intentions, takes care of himself, and that way he could take care of everyone else. I love that one. I do that one every day. I take care of myself in the morning. That way I can serve the world. I can serve my clients, serve my world, right? And so, and even before that, the key is, because if you want to get the jump on the morning, it starts before you go to bed. So I actually write down my goals and what I'm grateful for in a journal before I go to bed. And then I write down, what am I going to do tomorrow? I write down 3 things that are important, what I'm going to do tomorrow, whether it's coaching clients, doing a live show, taking care of the house, doing some training, whatever. I write it down. And that way, when I wake up, it's like, it's automatic. I don't have to question it. I'm not fighting it. There's not a part of me that says, well, I kind of want to sleep in. I don't know if I really want to do this. And then there's a part of me that's like, hey man, you better do it. And all of a sudden I have this shame and guilt. Screw it. I wake up, I'm congruent, right? Congruent is taking those parts, a part that wants to do it and a part that doesn't want to do it, and puts it together and just says, hey man, you know what? There's no time to think about it. You're just doing it. Like Nike got it right the first time. Just do it. Just take action. They're one of my favorite guys that I follow who's very successful, Richard Branson, who's a guy that owns Virgin Records and also Virgin Atlantic, the airline company. He owns a bunch of other different startups that became billion-dollar companies, and he sold some of them. He just says, screw it, just take action. He jumps down the path and just starts taking action and figures it out as he goes. Again, there's a lot of us, we get this paralysis by analysis and try to figure out, well, again, like we talk about understanding your path. Look, I think it's clear to get an understanding of your path, but sometimes we just overanalyze it and we fail to just straight up take action. So write down your goals, take action, get that feedback. All right, I'm starting to kind of run off in a tangent here. I just want to make sure we're staying on track and taking care of your guys and your questions. Steve Bailey says, hi, Coach G. Can you tell the story of the photo shoot that led to the poster that is behind you? Oh, yeah, that one there. You know, I don't think there's a big story there. Really, at the end of the day, that was a photo shoot in Arizona, and that was for Robinson, which was a company that I raced for, which was owned by GT. And we had raced, it was 1998, right after the Phoenix Winter Nationals on a Monday. And the funny thing is, that was like for the 1999 bike. That bike wasn't even released yet. And in 98, I was actually racing a bike that was polished with different decals and a totally different geometry. And so they sent me that bike and I put it together as best as I could. Like you can see those wheels are like super like 2-inch wide, heavy duty wide rims and heavy duty, you know, big flange hubs. And I didn't even race that bike, but yeah, it's a cool photo, right? Like that's actually, that was actually used at a Interbike trade show. And then they gave it to me and I'm using it for the backdrop. So that's pretty much my story there on that bike. Damon Hawking says, thanks G. Always love the way you explain things. He says, when I wake up, I have a board in front of me with my schedule on it. Also my goals, keywords that help me get into my day from the second I wake up to the minute I go to bed. You know, this girl here, Jill Kittner, let's see if I can bring this photo up. Jill Kittner, who was a 2008 U.S. Olympian, who went on to become an Olympic medalist. She won bronze. Let's see here. See if I can find the picture. Is that it? No, that's not it. Here we go. I'm going to tell you a story about how she lived at the Olympic Training Center. I spent a lot of time at the Olympic Training Center myself. Pretty much lived there. This girl here to your right, Jill Kittner, you know, in her dorm room, she actually had, let's see if we can get myself on here. Oh, there you guys. Here. How you guys doing? I'm in the picture now. She actually had her schedule on there, her whole training schedule above her bed. She had her goals written out. She knew exactly what she was going to do the next day. In fact, it's funny, sometimes as a coach, she always wanted at least 4 weeks scheduled in terms of her training, whether we were going to do it or not. She needed to see it. She was a very visual person. She printed out her training schedule and she knew exactly what she was going to do every day. And that enabled her. Now talk about a girl who made the Olympics more about herself. True story. So Jill, she came back to, she was already, I think in 2005 or 6, she already moved on from BMX and she started getting into professional mountain bike racing and was making a lot of good money and had a good sponsor. Her father passed away and her father always had this dream and wish for her to race the first Olympic Games in 2008. He had passed away, so what she did was she wanted to get back into BMX racing specifically for the Olympics, and she wanted to do it for her father. True story, and this is crazy. Her path to qualify was very challenging. She knew she had the talent. She had the motivation. In fact, she had the ambition to do it because she transcended herself. She didn't make it about herself. She was fulfilling her father's wish, which was super powerful. Awesome story. One of these days, we need to get this on video with her and bring her on. Awesome athlete, awesome person. And I think it was 6 months out before the games, we were out training, riding some trails on a BMX track. On her BMX away from the track is what I meant to say. And she had come up short on a jump and she stuck her leg out. She stuck her leg out when she landed and she messed up. She tore her ACL. And right then and there, she could have easily quit, but it was all about her father. And she ended up racing with a torn ACL. And she worked through the pain. She rehabbed it, got back on track, started doing the hard work, and made the Olympic final. And she executed, man. She is a true racer who is capable of finishing, right? She found ways to get the job done. And one of the funny things about her coaching her was that she actually wanted to do less, right? A lot of the BMX training became repetitive to her. And so what she would do with me is, hey, Coach G, she's like, listen, like we would be doing gates and we would have timers out, and she would challenge herself with me, and she'd be like, listen, if we were doing like, I don't know, like a 15, a 15-foot time, if you will, that's like one full revolution out of the gate. If she got a certain, I think she was, we'll just use numbers, right? Like she was getting like 1.2. She was like, well, if I get like a 115, can I stop this session and I can be done with for today? And I'd be like, no, we got like 10 more starts to do. But if you could pull that off, I'll let you go. And she would do that with me 3 sessions a week, right? She would challenge herself, and really she would challenge me, but she was really challenging herself, because it just got to the point where it was like, you know what, this is pointless. I just need to put some pressure on myself to execute. And if I can execute it, then I could be rewarded by finishing this session early. So we would play these games. She would get that time, and then I'd be like, all right, adios, see you later. You won. So she practiced putting pressure on herself. She would execute and she would win. And that's how she stayed motivated, by simply performing under pressure when it counted. And that's exactly what happened at the Beijing Olympic Games. Because by no means was she the fastest girl. I mean, she was probably the 12th fastest girl. I mean, in terms of her, but she was an awesome racer, and mentally, emotionally, she could execute better than anybody. Right. And so, but yeah, I figure I'd share that with you guys. Harry Larry. Let's see here. Harry says, hey, G, if you're a rider with limited time available to train but have huge goals, what would you say would be the 3 most important training routines that would get you close? Ooh, well, Harry, at the end of the day, it depends on, what you're trying to improve on, and generically speaking, Harry, I would say, BMX racing obviously is a sprinting sport. So we have to look at ourselves as sprinting athletes. Number 2, we need that emotional, mental strength. So we need to work on something with that, right? What are we doing mentally, emotionally? We just talked about the story of Jill putting pressure on herself to execute during practice sessions. What are we doing to put pressure on ourselves to execute? And that way, when it comes time to do it, it feels automatic. Okay. So we'll start with those 2, and we'll come up with a third one in a minute. I think as a sprinting athlete, are we doing sprints? We don't need to do many. We only need about a half hour to 45 minutes to go out, in front of the house, go to a bicycle-friendly, safe area, and do sprint training and work on our acceleration. Very easy to do, very easy not to do, so you might as well do it. Number 2, in terms of, having huge goals, are we working on our goals? Are we reminding ourselves of our goals, and are we identifying who we need to become to attain those goals? And are we consistent in writing those goals down and programming ourselves every day? And that way it becomes automatic. Are we becoming the person that we need to be to achieve those goals? Right? Because we could talk about being the world champion all day long, and if we're not identifying who we need to be, the unconscious mind will just figure it out, and we don't want it to figure it out. It needs directions, right? So we need to program it and say, hey, we need to be this guy. We need to be consistent. Maybe we need to model Connor Fields. We need to show up with his discipline, his execution, his work ethic, show up consistently every day. Now, number 3, if you're on a short, limited time, then it's best to show up to the track, at least try to show up to the track and have a schedule of what you're going to do. Hey, I'm going to do 8 starts and 3 half laps. I'm going to get in, get out. Instead of showing up to the track and, getting caught up in a conversation, talking to your friends and talking to people, show up before with a plan. Have it written down on your phone. Hey, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm doing 8 starts. I'm going to do 3 half laps. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to spend 10 minutes warming up, and then I'm going to get to work, right? And maybe even perhaps having that written down the night before of what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, and who you're going to do it with, right? And that way you don't waste a whole lot of time on the day of trying to figure out what you're going to do. Because most of the time, our unconscious mind will just say, you know what? You're not telling me what I need to do. And then it's going to say, well, this is what we did last time. And they're just going to do that. And then that's how we find out we don't improve. That's how we don't improve as people, because our unconscious mind will always reflect and use a program that it's used to doing. That's the secret. We're walking hard drives, man. See all these hard drives? We're literally hard drives, right? As human beings, unconsciously, we're hard drives, straight up. We're operating on these programs. It's us to us. It's our responsibility to change the programming and give it directions of what we need to do. And that's why people, they give up, right? In everything in life. You know what? This is just who I am as a person. You know what? That's just how it is. It's all I know. And part of that's true, but it's your responsibility if you want change in your life, if you have goals, you know, and not just in BMX, but in life, right? Like, I know for me, I'm doing other things outside of coaching because I want to do more. And so I'm changing my programming, right? I'm establishing what I need to do tomorrow, and I'm doing that before I go to bed. All right, enough on that lecture. We have time for a couple more questions here. Craig Martin says, record what you've already done as well and come up with a way to total your weekly practice. Yeah, a lot of people love feedback, right? Like a lot of people like to reflect back and see what they've done. That's like a training journal. I think that's a great idea. Steve Bailey says, thanks, Greg. I will always bring some OG. With the new school BMXing, last week was my 40th BMX Racing birthday. Hey, happy birthday, man. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Days Rock says, definitely watching the Olympics, really cheering for Elise and Connor, hoping the best, hoping the beast can one-up Pahone this time. Let's go USA. Yeah, I think Elise, you know, she's got to be the one to beat. Definitely. You know, then you have Smulders from the Netherlands, and then you have Felicia Stansel, who's a sleeper, who's been giving, you know, Elise a lot of fits in the last 2 seasons, and I'm really looking forward to watching that battle. Harry Larry gives me the okay. Right on, man. That's always great. Cool. Well, guys, this one was a little bit different. I would say, you know, next week, I say we analyze the BMX races that happened at the Olympics. What do you say? We'll do that next week at the live. Listen, if you guys found any value in this live feed and you guys want more and you guys want to support me, go to bmxtraining.com, become a member. A lot of these guys are members. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm so grateful and honored to be your coach. I'm so honored to be able to be here and just provide and give you guys feedback, give you guys value, and be able to contribute. Man, I'm just so grateful that there's an audience that will listen to me. Again, you guys have an awesome week, and man, enjoy the Olympics. Get hyped up. If you guys are finding yourself creating bigger goals, and come back and watch this video all over again, follow the 3 steps, create a new path, take action, and what was the third one? That's right. It's oh my gosh. Which one was it? Understand your path. I got so many. Hit your key performance indicators, right? Be able to get that feedback, and that way you guys are always moving forward. That's the key in BMX racing success. Keep moving forward. If you guys, again, there's no such thing as failure. Pick yourselves back up. Understand and make sure you guys listen to me and say, what would Coach G say? There's no such thing as failure, only feedback. What do I need to do to keep moving forward? All right, guys, you guys be easy. You guys be good. Keep working hard. Keep taking action. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the Olympics this week. And I'm out.